Hey everybody, it's Carlos here. Thank you so much for tuning into my video. This is my top 5 Gen 1 bug type Pokemon. Before we begin, I'd like to ask you to please like and share this video with your Pokemon friends if you have any, or hey, if you just like my videos and you want to share them for some reason, whatever, it'd be totally cool. But besides that though, please go ahead and do so. It helped my channel grow a lot and it helps supports me. So without much further ado, let's begin. Alright, so coming up at number 5 is Butterfree. Butterfree is absolutely one of my top favorite Pokemon in the world. Like, you didn't grow up as a kid watching Pokemon and not cry at bye-bye Butterfree. It is one of the most heartbreaking episodes ever in the Pokemon anime, and it was like in one of the first 25, I think. It was absolutely heartbreaking as a kid, and it made you realize just how precious these Pokemon were to their trainers, and it clearly kicked off a lot of sentimental value for Pokemon and trying to take care of them as much as possible, making them as happy as you could. And while Butterfree was available early in the game via its first evolution Caterpie in the Viridian Forest, Butterfree did not get like super buffed or anything in later games. Although he is pretty fun to use, he does get some access to early psychic moves like Confusion early in the game. It's not really completely viable later on, even though it does come in handy with Sleep Powder, Confusion, so on and so forth, especially pretty much in later games with its ability for a 30% accuracy boost. It's pretty sweet. And with that, Butterfree, you're number 5 because of it. Thank you so much, buddy. I love you. Alright, and coming up at number 4 is going to be Beedrill. Beedrill is an interesting Pokemon to me because in the first generation of Pokemon and several others to follow, you always seem to have these counter Pokemon to each other. You have a Pidgey and you have a Spearow. You have a Caterpie and you have a Weedle. You have a Nidoran and you have a Nidoran. Ha! Got you. But you get my drift. So you get these types of Pokemon, and one eventually becomes more lovable than the other, simply because of its design or its moveset, but majorly for the design. A lot of people like butterflies, not a lot of people like bees. Big shocker. One stings you, one doesn't. One looks pretty, one looks like it wants to kill you because it's mad. It didn't get its coffee or something. But Beedrill is unfortunately one of those Pokemon, but to me, I actually kind of like him because he seems pretty badass, and unfortunately, because of its design and because it's not that very welcoming, a lot of people overlook him. But Beedrill actually has a pretty good attack stat in Gen 1, and later on in the games, he gets a Mega Evolution, so that's pretty cool, and it looks pretty badass too, if I'm not lying. So Beedrill gets its top 4 right here, mainly because it's completely overlooked. It should get more love, even though it actually did get more love. But a lot of people should give him a little bit more, a little bit more opportunity. Beedrill is kind of cool. He wants to sting people. He wants to defend you by stinging people. That's how you should look at that. And so yeah, Beedrill, number 4. Go figure. Beats Butterfree. Alright, so coming in at number 4 is going to be Pincer. Pincer is a terrifyingly strong Pokemon, especially in the later games, but in Gen 1, because of its rarity as well, Pincer was a force to be reckoned with. He had a high attack stat, he had moves available for fighting and bug and normal types, so it's pretty crazy. His high attack stat definitely created a lot of good stab movements throughout the game. However, it's the design that gets me more because it just simply looks menacing. In the anime, Pincer looked so threatening that it could actually kill or something. Its pincers are as hard as steel and as sharp as steel. Have you seen those things? That thing will cut you in half. And in the manga, if you ever read the books or anything, like, it actually kind of does. It kills people, like, stuff gets real there. But besides that though, like, I was scared for Metapod in the anime when it originally came out because Pincer looked like it was going to break Metapod in half. And in a weird what if sequence that Ash had, he actually did. And that poor Pokemon could have died. People and little kids around the world watching that anime right now could have witnessed an actual Pokemon death. and that scared the bejesus out of me. And I think that actually what stays with me throughout this entirety of Pokemon, and so he gets on my number 3 because of that. He's completely just mind-boggling, scary, little teeth over there and everything. But with that, no. We're gonna go with him for number 3 because he is terrifyingly awesome, and I'm so glad he got a Mega Evolution later on in the game. And yeah, pretty much that. Alright guys, and number 2 is gonna have to go to Scyther, one of the best designed Pokemon from Gen 1. Scyther is a bug flying type Pokemon who actually doesn't know any bug type moves. However, it does know 2 attack moves. It's kind of funny given that it has a pretty decent attack and speed. Scyther is kind of an oddball because they didn't do much with him, and again, he kind of falls into that category of like comparing 2 bug types against each other. Its counterpart being basically either Electabuzz or Pincer, more Pincer in this case because they're both bugs. However, though, Scyther is still really the most one of the most cooler designs in Pokemon Gen 1, simply because it looks incredibly menacing, and if you read its Pokedex entries, it's pretty crazy. It is definitely a predator type Pokemon, and you see it all the time in comics because his arms are literally scythes that can cut through a lot of stuff, and yet it doesn't know cut as its innate ability, which is odd. But I think that's kind of the butt of the joke, you know, obviously. However, Pokemon is kind of weird like that. But besides that though, Scyther does get some pretty awesome evolutions later on in the series. Although it's not that great in Gen 1, it is still one of the cooler Pokemon to come out of Gen 1. And that makes me super excited because my number 1 pick right now that you're gonna maybe be like WTF about is kind of completely the opposite of it. So there you go, Scyther, you're number 2, buddy. Alright, so my number 1 bug type Pokemon is Caterpie. Caterpie means to me more than a lot of the other Pokemon in the games pretty much put together, including Pikachu, including Charizard, everything. All of my other favorites, they kind of don't even come close to Caterpie. And I'll tell you why. Caterpie represents a lot to the Pokemon world in general. It's literally one of the first Pokemon that you can find and catch that isn't a Rattata or a Pidgey. It's like a newborn in a way that it has so much potential for so much more. It goes through the stage of evolution early on in the game, just like how we were when we first started playing Pokemon. We were this completely inexperienced being going out into this world, not knowing who or what we were gonna find. We're not particularly fearsome to anybody else, but through enough training and enough determination, we as players and even as Pokemon trainers can learn to evolve with our Pokemon. And it doesn't matter particularly where we came from or what we've done, we still have the capacity to be a really great trainer because of Caterpie and later on in its evolutionary line. Not only to also mention to the fact that Caterpie is one of the first Pokemon that introduced us to evolution in the anime. Caterpie is such a great stepping stone for new Pokemon trainers alike that no wonder why it's such a staple, and it has such a grip on trainers' hearts, especially if you're one of the Gen 1 players like me. Even when X and Y came out, when I came into the first forest, I knew I instantly wanted to get a Caterpie because that's what I always got, you know? And Caterpie, he gets his number 1 spot simply because, not only because of the nostalgic value of him, but its evolutionary forms is one of the most cool looking ones ever. It evolves into a Butterfree, which has all of these great moves that you can later teach it. It has a great design. It feels like it could be a real Pokemon, not based only because it's actually based off a real insect and everything, but because you're kind of not as afraid of bug types anymore, because Caterpie was such a great friend to you throughout the games, and even in the anime, he got your back. He knew he wasn't the strongest Pokemon. He knew he wasn't gonna win every battle or something, but you can bet your damn ass he would try his hardest. And that kind of determination, especially early on, it helped you push yourself to want to be a better trainer. And eventually, unfortunately, a lot of us did eventually put Butterfree into the PC once it evolved from Caterpie and Metapod. And we didn't get to use him a lot though. Like, we never really released him from our PCs though, simply because he had that much of a place in our heart, and he helped so much, especially for the first gym with Brock and the second with Misty. It's a staple in Pokemon, and Caterpie definitely deserves this spot, and he should definitely earn a spot on your list if you have one, because he is a badass bug type. And that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed my list. Of course, you can totally have a different list than mine, and I guess you can even disagree about Caterpie, but I really hope you don't, because that would make me really sad. And yeah, and with that, thank you so much for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more top 5 here. We're gonna be going through all Gen 1, and then later on jumping into Gen 2, eventually up to Gen 7. I promise we will get there. I just really like to take my time to really decide who's going to be on my top list and where they're going to be, because I care about these Pokemon. I don't like leaving them out in the cold, but sometimes you have to, and I have to make really hard decisions about that. But I hope you guys enjoyed my list, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos, and let me know in the comments below what your favorite Pokemon types are, and if you have a different list and everything. With that, I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for tuning in. Chief out.